And we're off to the races.
Both of us are having some shocker technical difficulties. So brace yourselves,
Just the
friends.
best.
It's gonna get throwbacks. We should call it because like it happens every week. Is it really a throwback? Is it just like current affairs? Yo, what you drinking, bro?
It's a Coke Zero, ice cold. Sponsored by, perhaps, one day. Could you imagine if we had Coke Zero money? Oh,
Oh, you think? Can you can you imagine?
one of the things I want to do is
I would
just
not
like
be broke AF.
basically like poverty version of Dragon's Den. Just
Poverty version Dragon's Den. What does
ask
that mean?
instead of going in and proving a product and be like, hey, we've marketed it, we've demoed
Okay.
it, we proved it works.
Yeah.
May I have some money and you can have some of my company? I just want to be like, hey, we'll get there, but we need your money now.
Yeah.
Just pay us.
Yeah.
We'll be
So,
big one
and
day.
yeah. Actually, it might not be Dragon's Den. It might be Shark Tank. But I have seen some episodes where people have gone in with just like a prototype that they have not tested.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, there's one in particular. I feel like I'm calling this person out. He was building a like those bicycle carriages that you can put like two kids in or three or four even probably maybe. You know the ones.
A pile of
What are they
kids, yeah.
called?
A stroller? I feel like I'm
So it like
overthinking it
hooks up
now.
to your bicycle.
Oh, like a trailer almost, eh?
Aided people to be able to like run and jog. I'm like, well, oh, really? Wow.
Oh damn. Well, folks, it's just you and me once again. Yeah, I can't figure out lights to save my life, and Jenna's back.
Yay! Thank you for holding the fort. Apparently I don't have an internet connection, despite the fact that I recently moved my internet repeater to directly next to where I'm working. So I don't know, man. I don't know.
Who knows?
Where was I? Oh yeah, this guy. He made these like little go-karts or whatever for um what do you call it? For runners. I want to look it up. I don't know. Should we
Go
even give him
karts
a
for runners?
not a go-kart, but like okay, let's see. Um whoa, bicycles. Bike trailer. Cargo trailer for bicycle. Okay. So a jogging trailer on was it Dragon's Den?
Enter picture in
Wike.
picture.
Wike bicycle trailers?
Wyke
Yeah,
sounds like a
yeah.
fake name.
I know. It's terrible. Inventor Bob Bill. Okay, so Wike 7 years ago. So basically he goes on, he pitches this idea. He had I don't say I guess. He had built this. So the idea behind it is that it easily converts between a bicycle trailer or a stroller slash jogger
Oh
tool
yeah, yeah.
because a lot of them will do this but they're not great, and so he was like we're making of blah blah blah, went on the market Um, and the long and the um, he was like he was too focused on like making it perfect
Mm.
instead of just getting the product out there and then tuning it as you go. Like they were like, just put it out on the market so we can get numbers, see how this performs. Like what, anyways. So people
I,
have gone in, I guess, and pitched ideas, but they're not going to send something that isn't tested or tried at some
I
level.
I feel like that would be a hard thing to do too, because I think the recommendation I've heard or read or whatever many times is just get something out there and then you can fine tune it and
Totally.
whatever as you go. But to put yourself out there and all your investments and whatever, and you're not sure what's going to come. You're still not sure even if you think you're fielding something that's perfect, but at least you're fairly
Right.
confident. I feel like
Yeah.
knowing that you have to do iterations of the product, I would be so stressed out, I think. Like fuck, what if there's no iteration 2.0 because no one wants it?
That is for a specific world. Pretty slim. I think other people will end up needing those same products too, right?
And I'm sure you'd have done some research
Um,
as well.
yeah,
Like, no one, I don't know. People say
maybe.
do market research. I don't know what
Maybe.
fucking market research is. I'm just
Yeah,
my market
what is
research
that
is
even?
how many have been bought in this past month on Amazon. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I know is hotcakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's valid. Um, yeah, man. What is up?
I heard that they're shutting down the Department of Education south of the border.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I think that's pretty impressive. I'm not a fan of the Western education model. Uh, it has a lot to do with making people workers and not making people educated.
Okay, okay,
But
okay.
so I'm okay with revamping the system,
Mm-hmm.
maybe rebuilding it. But I don't think getting rid of the entire administrative apparatus is the way to do that. That said,
Yeah.
I've not run businesses or countries, so it
Yeah,
just
me
seems like
either.
a wild leap to me.
It is a wild leap. So I think in the Department of Efficiency, they're
The
looking
Department of
at,
Governmental Efficiency.
sorry, governmental efficiency. Perhaps they've identified that the Ministry of Education is a waste of resources. But also, maybe this is just a big ploy to like, so if you fire a bunch of people, like, I don't know how it works if those positions are unionized or not.
Teachers are
Then,
unionized.
yes, but in the Ministry of
You're
Education,
right.
I
You're
don't know
right.
if
Hmm.
those positions are or not. And so my question is this a way to get around having to like pay people their union stuff? Do you know what I
Like
mean?
severance or whatever. I wouldn't be.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised. That seems like the kind of underhanded thing
Right? Like
that someone might want to do.
if they're trying to make government more efficient. And then but then so we all know this about making this change or
Oh, pardon me.
at
I heard a tisk, but your face still hasn't moved.
Guys.
There we go. There we go. Almost. And she's gone again. Damn. Yeah. The Department of Education. I feel like you're cutting the head off a snake that you kind of want to keep around.
Is the word curriculum the word I'm looking for?
Yes.
It's like the document that states what kids have to learn.
Like and what age and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. I would say
Yeah. Okay.
curriculum or syllabus. I don't know if those are interchangeable.
Okay. Yeah, I was second guessing my my word choice. Anyway, it's like that I think that's the governing body that decides what goes into said curriculum. Yes?
I would say yes. That would be my guess. Like ministry mandated, whatever, or Department of Education mandated learning. I don't know.
Oh, this might work. Hello?
Hey.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, we must be having some delays on both ends.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like it's there's things happening now. I feel like it wasn't uploading moments ago. Now I'm uploading. So I think once that catches up, I'll be okay. Hopefully no more interruptions. Um yeah, is it the Ministry of Education writes the curriculum, yes?
I would say so. Yeah, we've got some teachers in the audience. They'll correct us.
Okay. Yeah, please do if this is incorrect. Um and to those same teachers listening, what does the dissolution, is that the right word?
Ooh, yeah, I think
The
so.
dissolution of the Ministry of Education, what does that mean specifically for on like school on a day-to-day basis? I'm sure there's going to be some massive impacts because
Yeah,
you can't
like
just get rid of the overhead organization without the bottom part of it crumbling. No.
I feel like number one is money flow is going to be a
Okay.
problem. Just I don't know if it would be payroll or
Okay.
operations and maintenance budget or
Totally.
whatever they have to pay for.
Yeah.
Um, like that could be a problem. And do they not
Yeah.
do schools pay taxes? They've got
Schools
utilities. Like
schools must pay taxes. Yeah.
so I feel like
This is
would
a hot mess.
would they be able to foreclose on a school and kick on? Think of the children. You know what I
Foreclose.
mean?
Oh my god. Ministry of Education.
Like imagine Hogwarts
USA.
without the Ministry of Magic.
Oh, well, this is it.
And we do know what happens when the ministry gets over involved.
The BBC is talking about this. Can Trump truly dismantle it? He has signed an executive order aiming to begin the dismantling of the Department of Education. It's a long held goal of conservatives, but complete shuttering of the department is unlikely as it would take an act of Congress. Since Trump returned to the White House, the department has already announced plans to slash about half of its workforce. Established in 1979, the department oversees funding for public schools. There you go. So it obviously like doles out all the cash,
Does that mean
administers student loans, and runs programs that help low income students. Trump and his allies have accused the agency of indoctrinating young people with racial, sexual, and political material. What does that even mean? Indoctrinating them with racial, sexual, and political material. What?
so? They're talking things like critical race theory. They're
Okay.
talking about gender identity and stuff like that
Yeah.
in school. That's what he's talking about.
Oh, okay.
Indoctrination is just obviously a very selected word to
Yeah.
describe what's being taught in schools rather
Yeah.
than just you could be a little bit more neutral about it.
Okay.
Um, I think it's intentionally inflammatory, but a lot of people I think do consider it indoctrination. Um,
Okay.
does that also mean that then Catholic schools wouldn't be affected? Because
I'm not sure how. So the schooling system, I believe, is different here than it is in the US.
pardon me.
My understanding is that Catholic schools are part of our constitution, a lack of a better word. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if that's the case in the US. I know that there's a big push in Canada to, like, I don't want to say end Catholic schools, but end the distinction between two different school boards like that and just like have them all be the same.
Catholic schools in the United States are they private schools?
I wonder, maybe.
Catholic schools are supported primarily through tuition payments and fundraising.
So yeah, paid private.
Damn.
So
Could you
a
imagine?
common misconception, I was incorrect. A common misconception is that the Department of Education operates US schools and sets curricula. That responsibility actually belongs to states and local districts. The
Okay, that
agency
makes sense.
does oversee student loan programs and administers Pell Grants that help low income students attend university. That's kind of a big deal, folks.
That makes sense. And we should have probably seen that too because that was that whole Roe v. Wade thing too when they overturned it.
Yeah.
Because federal
Yeah.
government in any democracy, I'm speaking broadly here, probably a lot out of my ass, but
Sure.
like this, the states are supposed, and same thing with the provinces, you're supposed to be able to, make your own decisions about your economy and your education and how your people are governed and whatever, I don't know, other political things. And
Yep.
federal, I don't know actually what like the fucking point of the federal government is. They just seem to tell one province to give money to another.
They're like the mom
Or
and dad of all the provinces
yeah, it seems an awful
and
lot like
territories
Trump is just trying to offload as much work as humanly possible.
onto individual states.
Or just as long as it's not on his desk.
Oh, I see. I
You know
see.
what I
So
mean?
make
Like
it not a federal issue anymore.
if Doge gets rid of all these departments and agencies and stuff, that's like how many fewer documents that he's got to friggin' read and sign or
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
briefed
Fair.
about. I don't know. That'd be
It
interesting to see if he's just
That's
like clearing house and shrinking. So he has. I think most people
less
would,
to do.
and they would be going at it from like let's give the money back to the people, let's give the decisions back to the people kind of thing.
That's what they'll say. Right.
Well, no,
Yeah.
Trump would say that too, but he's just going to spend more time at Mar-a-Lago
Mm-hmm.
golfing instead of pretending to care about the issues that he currently does. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I had this thought last week. Maybe I don't want to talk about this too much, but I was like, what if Trump is just the puppet for Elon Musk? Like, Elon Musk doesn't want to be the president of the United States, but he wants it to function in a way that maybe benefits him and his own personal sort of interests. Is that possible?
I mean, I is it possible? 100%, it's
Mm,
possible.
hmm
Is it happening? Who knows? But
Yeah.
one
And
thing is
I don't need,
certain.
I don't necessarily even mean this as like a malicious thing. Just like
No, it's a
he has
question.
an
Yeah.
agenda and he's like, this is the best route to
Hmm.
achieving said agenda. Maybe it is malicious. I don't know him, so I can't say. But even if I did know him, I probably couldn't say.
It's hard to
So
know these billionaires. They're so regimented. They're so, I don't know. I think they have such a way about them. Just it takes a certain kind of person to amass that kind of wealth.
yes, yeah, yeah.
But I think in the at least in the federal states government, they're, all the rich people and all the politicians, they're just walking hand in hand down the street. They're just giving
Fair.
each other Dutch rudders. Just look at how good we are. I'll help you out. You help me out.
Yeah.
It's not bad. We're not actually doing it. They just make everything look like one thing when they're doing another.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm convinced that's what most governments in developed countries do anyway.
Right. Maybe. I don't
I
know.
don't know. Yeah, who knows? That's a cynical view, I'm sure, but I think there's more truth to that than not.
I think that it's not impossible. It's likely happening. It's probably happened in the past. Um, I don't know. Part of me is like, if you don't see things cynically sometimes, then you're not seeing the reality of it anytime.
Yeah, you're kind of like your rose-colored lenses kind of thing.
Yeah, you have to be able to like critically view something to see it for what it is
Y-
eventually.
Yeah,
Like, even if the critical view is not the way that quote unquote it actually is, um, you can at least try and like mull out, sift through the weeds, so to speak, right? So I don't know.
well, it's an interesting way too to just make sure you're not just taking everything for face value, right?
That too. Yeah.
I think
Yeah. Yeah.
it,
Oh my
most
gosh.
most
People who live
politics
in
is
a place where they can just take everything at face value, like, praise be, man. Like, sounds
that's
like a
why
nice way to live.
I'm jealous of children.
Okay. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
innocence of youth is like fuck. Oh yeah, look at that blue sky. That's where the thought ends.
Woo.
Done.
Yeah.
Look at how
Yeah.
pretty that is.
Yeah.
I wonder why the sky's blue. And now, like flat earthers and shit, it's like, can I have one peaceful fucking moment?
Yeah. No, we're critically thinking everything.
Do you think there is a group of elites controlling the world's governments?
So I've heard this theory, and somebody said it's oh my gosh, the World Bank. Is that even a thing?
The World Economic, the World Bank. World Bank's a thing. The
Yeah,
World Bank,
whoever
yeah.
runs that.
I think it's a Schwab.
Apparently, it's a multitude of nations,
That would make sense. Like it's
multiple
like the
nations. Yeah,
UN kind of thing.
kind of. Yeah.
The World
Yeah, my
Bank.
understanding is that that's what controls the world. Is that true?
It's an international financial institution that provides loans and grants to the governments of low and middle income countries for the
Okay.
purpose of economic development.
Right. Or lack thereof. Are they withholding funds to ensure that some countries stay right where they are?
Yeah, or like yeah, who's getting these contracts and
And who decides who gets what, really? You know?
I heard an interesting argument. It was a counterpoint
Do you
to
think that's
I want to believe that it's happening because that would just be I mean every fucking James Bond movie is real then. But
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
I think there's a lot of conspiracy sort of light on that idea
Mm-hmm.
because you know how
Mm-hmm.
can I don't know 100 people, probably even less. I don't even know. Maybe it's single digits. I don't know. I could see examples in any of that space, but it would have to mean that there are more willing participants than we know of who are really good at keeping secrets,
Okay.
or there are so few of them that are doing it, it's impossible to I don't know see the patterns or dig deep enough
Yeah.
to get to the truth, as it were. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I feel like that would have to be an insanely long shaping operation to guide how all of these governments across all of these countries have a grown and developed, and b how they govern themselves so that you could achieve your goals, whatever those goals are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Hmm.
I think it's possible. I just it's improbable, unfortunately. That said, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
we know these people. There are everyone who's a billionaire conspires to keep their wealth, to maintain their wealth, or to grow it. So getting
Yeah.
involved with political decisions that impact interest rates or financial or banking laws, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably not as nefarious or mysterious as the movies or the books want us to believe. So, like,
Sure. Yeah.
world domination, because world domination might not look like what we think it looks like. It might just be that they continue to grow and we continue to stay where we are or shrink.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so that no one's taking, like, it's that analogy, like you don't put all your eggs in one basket kind of thing. But like in this case, it's more like you keep those eggs that you really want to yourself, and then you're only spreading out the eggs that people think exist around,
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of
It's almost
thing.
like
That's
hiding
what
in
I'm
plain sight,
picturing.
too. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's not like
Interesting.
totalitarian oppression and, famine and whatever. It could be, it could look like anything.
Yes.
There was this one guy, he was talking about uh, developed versus non-developed nations, and like, we used to say like first world problems or third world
Yeah.
countries or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently that's not a anymore.
No.
the, the nation is either developed or undeveloped,
Yeah. Or in
non
development.
in development, yeah.
Yeah.
And the interesting argument was too is like, he was talking about Ghana. He said, is Ghana a developed nation or a non-developed nation? And he's like, non-developed. He goes, okay, so those people are non-developed people. And like, that was a really interesting way of considering whether a country is developed or non-developed.
Is it? But developed to me speaks to the economical status of a place,
Yeah,
um the resources that they
there's a lot
can
of,
acquire,
I
the
think
access,
there's
it's
four
access to
things.
resources. Yeah.
But the example
And
he used
so,
was, sorry,
yeah.
you were,
No, no, it just, it makes me, I thought the terminology was good in the sense that you're either developed, so you have like
developed
established
or
government.
developing, I guess, are the terms.
Okay. So like you have an established government, you have somewhat order, like I think of, in development countries, I think of places where there's a lot of perhaps war, civil war, unrest, uh where their leaders are being overthrown frequently, that kind of thing. And so I don't think it's so much, like, to me, that it's a very small way of looking at it, um to focus on, is it the people that make the country developed or not, right? It's not so much about the people. I'm sure the people want it to be developed to some degree, right? Maybe they
Hmm.
feel like it is, but in contrast to other quote unquote developed nations, it's not the same.
The the developing country, they talk about their industrial base and a lower human
Industrial
development
base.
index,
So
which I
does
would,
that mean they're not, like, reproduction rates are low? Like, is that what that's saying?
it could be a lot of things. Like, I think of
Okay.
things like literacy.
Okay.
You know
Yep.
what I mean? There's just some places where they don't have good education
There's
systems
some
set up.
places where there's none. Yeah.
Yeah,
No education set up. Yeah.
and they classify countries by income group, markets and economic growth, geography, and other parameters.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. I feel like when I hear somebody asking, are the people developed or not, it's almost like threatening or questioning their intelligence. These
and
people are highly intelligent in the spaces that they live,
I
right?
think the reason, and I'm probably misquoting or misparaphrasing, but
No, no, no.
the idea was the people can be developed, they're literate, they've got jobs or whatever, but the country itself is developing, or or non-developed because
Yeah.
it lacks the unifying factor. So the example he
Yeah.
used was like basically all the colonies are WASP countries, so white,
Yeah. Okay.
Anglo-Saxon, Protestant. So
Yeah.
there's a common racial background, a common or I guess a common cultural background, a common
Yeah.
religious background, and a common sorry,
Ethnic.
ethnic, cultural, and religious backgrounds. And
Okay.
so, like in the United States,
Yeah.
WASP is a pretty good way to categorize the country.
Hmm.
But in Hughes, Ghana is like there's 16 different languages. There's a bunch of different
Okay.
religious and ethnic and cultural backgrounds and stuff. So it's harder for them to
Unify.
develop in a unified direction because
I
they're all
see.
it's different views, different priorities, different
Yeah.
concerns. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
know,
Totally.
but it
Oh wow.
yeah, it reminds you that that yeah, the country and the people might not be the same thing.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know.
That's no. That's very true. I think. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm sure in history there have been, nations or countries that are like immigrant based. So maybe it wasn't working. New people came in, they fixed it up. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't want to say fixed it up. That seems weird, but
In the context, I know what you're talking about though. But yeah, from outside looking in, like, so it was a problem.
they
No,
took over. No, no. Um,
but I
I
would
feel
see
like
these.
I don't want to include like colonialism, so to speak, because I think there was like a lot of unfortunately like cultural loss for like a lot of
Big time.
native um people. I'm just throwing this out there because it's what came to the top of my head, but like I have heard in Australia there was a huge amount of l- loss of like the native culture of the people who lived in Australia originally and sort of got overrun in some ways. So that would be like the opposite thing of what I'm talking about. I'm thinking more of like there've been situations in like South America, for example, where like the leader was not doing the best work for the people, so to speak,
Yeah,
perhaps.
yeah,
And
yeah. The
a
people are
new
developed,
leader
but their government drives them
y-
economically into the ground.
totally. And
Yeah,
so in instances where they're able to like maybe I don't know, if they're not in a democratic system, they can't elect a new leader, but like have a new leader come into a presidential role or whatever that
hmm
title might be, um, and actually help the country better it for the people. I don't know. It's a tender ecosystem, I'm sure, in every nation, in every country, and maybe it's like cooking. Like you just got to get the recipe right for that particular place. I don't know.
and to that end, I mean, the more places that are like that, the easier it is for some group of super secret people to control the whole world.
Super secret, not so
Yeah,
secret.
I mean, what do you do when you have that much power? How do you
Do they,
entertain yourself?
I don't want to say do they know? They definitely know.
I mean, if they exist, if this is true,
Yeah,
they have to know. It has
yeah.
to be plant like maintain. It has to be managed.
Mm-hmm.
They
And
can't just set it and forget it.
are you the kind of like are these the kinds of people that like they sit back and enjoy life, or is it just like a constant like I could get knocked down from this at any moment. This could all crumble and fall apart. Like what is the mindset of this person? Or is it something we can't even fathom because we're not there at
Yeah,
all?
that's a really interesting question too. You think, hey, like you can, I wonder what it'd be like. I would be stressed out all the time and
Right.
trying to, but you got to go into it with like a different, got to go into it like it's a career path, you know what I mean?
I'm gonna like get in there.
There's got to be a massive chip on your shoulder, or some sort of like deep void that you're trying to fill, because who
Okay.
would who would want
Mommy
to,
issues, daddy issues, that kind
yeah,
of thing.
like I imagine the work that would go into the scheming, the planning, the networking, because you can't do it on your own. You got to find a bunch of other evil people.
Yeah,
So that,
you need a board of directors for this.
like, how do you, yeah, how do you the chairman of the board, like I'm picturing in Despicable Me, whenever he goes to apply to bank loans for doing his
Yeah.
his evil stuff, like I don't know, that would be you'd almost have to live for that chase,
Right.
that
That's an
thrill
interesting
of
thing.
swindling the world, or at least creating the perception for yourself that you're part of this group of people who are pulling the puppet strings.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like during COVID,
Oh my gosh.
they would have been
Yeah.
on yachts and fucking, I don't know, bungee jumping, or I don't know what the fuck
Oh, there's a global
the
pandemic.
world
Oh my
leaders
gosh.
do.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of them are super fucking old either. If like you couldn't
Young
be too
doing this.
young
Yeah.
and be running the world.
Yeah, you've got to have done a bit of time.
Like how do you build that resume?
Totally. Yeah. Work your way up. What does that corporate ladder look like?
I was talking about the idea of what morality is, and how,
Having morals? You mean?
yeah, having
Okay.
morals. So like the
Okay.
way
Okay.
we behave,
Yeah.
you know, would you ever punch someone? You'd probably say no. Now, if someone pushed your kid, would you punch them? Yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah.
probably would.
That
It's
was
just,
honestly my first thought. I was like, depends if what they did to me.
so it's like the action, and that kind of proves the point, right? Is that it's always a
Yeah.
depends. It's always circumstantial. There's always
Yeah.
context required. So we like to
Yes.
think that we live in this moral black and white. I know what right is, I know what wrong is, I know what good and evil is, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah. And I'm sure we've mentioned this before, but I feel like that's the basis of the entire woke movement. I don't know if we'd call it a movement, but like the woke
Attitude, ethos.
attitude and
It's
beliefs. Yeah.
the
That there is an ultimate right and there is an ultimate wrong.
and someone, I gotta find out what it was said, but I was watching the show
Hmm.
American Primeval on Netflix,
Okay.
which is really interesting. It's around the same time as, it's in the 1850s.
Okay. Wow.
So it's right before the show 19 or 1883. If
Okay.
anyone's watched it, or is at least familiar with it, um,
And it's I'm assuming fictitious.
there are a few historical accuracies in it, but it is primarily a fictitious storyline
Okay.
with
Okay.
fictitious characters. But there are some events that actually took place,
Loosely based on the truth.
and exactly, like there was the Mountain
Any
Meadows.
likeness to real people is just happenstance.
Yeah, the yes and no. So you've read Empire of the Summer Moon. Uh,
No.
you haven't? Jordan has. I have.
Summer
It's a good book, and I got it on good authority for some God's honest Texans that it's one of the best history books of Texas.
Moon. Okay.
Anyway, there's this event called the Mountain Meadows Massacre, and there
Okay.
was something like 120 people from Arkansas
Okay.
that were making their way west, and they were going, I don't know where, somewhere along one of the trails that was populating uh, into the west and into the Pacific coast on the United States. And they were, the show
Hmm.
makes it like Mormons attacked this group of people.
Okay.
But there is, I guess, I don't know. I was looking into it, and they said they're certain it was Mormons and other people, so probably some native groups that maybe had converted or whatever. But
Okay.
it was, I can't remember why they did it, why they ambushed it, but that scene, that historical event is a part of the show.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but it's just terrifying. Anyway, the cool thing about American Primeval is, you know, watching 1883, it was basically settlers and pioneers versus Native Americans.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and the odd bandit or cattle thieves or whatever that you're trying to deal with, but no organized outside of the First Nations folks, no
Mm-hmm.
organized enemy. In American
Mm-hmm.
Primeval, it was terrifying because the Mormons were another organized sort of enemy, as it
Entity.
were.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you had all of
The
the
Mormons. Okay.
Jesus Christ Church of Jesus Christ of
Superstars.
Latter Day Saints.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's called.
Yeah. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I think.
So the Latter Day Saints, they don't apologize for any Latter Day Saints out there. I'm speaking pejoratively, and I did not mean to. But the interesting thing was, so you know, people trying to find families, new homes, new beginnings, new futures, whatever. There's people that already live there that are having their homes, taken from them,
Yeah.
often very violently, and being forced to relocate to other spots. And then you've got this religious group that's trying to carve out their own little chunk of land just for
Right.
them, right? So they wanted
Right.
Utah to be, or this place in the United States, they wanted it to be their own country with their own like government and stuff like that.
Okay.
Um, and so they were defending their future, their way of life, and everything like that.
Wow.
Um, and you're watching the show, and you're like, man, there's a lot happening. There's a lot of players in this
Mm-hmm.
game,
Okay.
and it's all super duper violent. And the interesting thing was, you kind of look at it, and you're like, okay, who's right, who's wrong?
Yeah.
I think there's some pretty obvious instances of killing women and children, probably never acceptable.
No.
Um,
Not cool, bro.
not cool,
Some
not
might
cool.
say.
But it just gives you that idea of morality as a point of view. It's not a definition. It's not a hard and fast, because there's
Mm-hmm.
some things you just wouldn't do,
Yep.
and then there are other things that you think you wouldn't do, but given the right circumstances, you absolutely would. And now, whole reason I brought this up is because we live, and you mentioned it when you talked about woke, but it's not just woke, it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty much everything. Everyone kind of lives and dies by their opinion these
Right.
days.
Right.
uh, they have
These days.
these days, these kids, everyone thinks they understand everything, myself included. I do this all the time.
Sure.
I mean,
You
if
fact
if
check everything on Google.
if the
It's easy to
if
feel like you know everything.
the social structure fell apart overnight,
Mm-hmm.
I want to know like what that would look like. How long would it take people to realize that there are no rules and no consequences anymore? And how many people would be pretty fucked because of that,
Wait, are we
versus
talking like
like total anarchy?
okay.
Like there's no police anymore, there's no
Oh
government.
God.
You know what I mean? Like,
I
remember
mean, we kind of
Seattle?
saw a little bit of it in the pandemic, right?
Yeah, was that Seattle?
I don't remember where.
I'm pretty sure it was somewhere
I
in
know LA
Washington.
was I don't want to say LA was bad, but like in LA when the Black Lives Matter movement really like
Hit its stride.
yeah, I don't know if that's what
Yeah,
I'd
it's a little too
like to
cool,
say, but
a little too casual.
yeah, I just it there were places, there were people who were calling the police because there was looting apparently
Hmm.
happening in rampantly. And I can't say that I know this for sure, for a fact. I only heard people, like, my information is second or third hand. Like, I feel like I've heard this from people talking about it on podcasts who were there, or who heard it from other sources. So, like, I don't know if my information is even good at all, but I'm willing to share it with you. Um, there was so much looting. There were fires happening, like buildings were being set on fire, cars were being set on fire. There was quite literally that level of anarchy happening, and the police could not stop it. They initially tried to respond to calls, but it got so overwhelming so fast that they could do almost nothing. They were
Yeah.
so overrun. And um yeah, I can't imagine what that felt like to be a person living in that place at that time.
Totally on your own.
Yeah, knowing like people could just break into my house, the police won't show up. Like, and we'll say the bad guys, like the culprits, knowing that too, being like, we could just break into all these places, steal everything, nobody's coming.
It's like watching people go into an Apple store and just rip all the phones out, and
Oh,
the employees are told, like, don't get involved.
right.
I'm not
Yeah.
covering your hospital bills.
Yeah,
I just think
absolutely.
it's completely unacceptable that that's allowed to happen.
It's but what do you do, right?
No, you put
Like in
someone, like, you put a security guard there with a giant fucking baseball bat,
Oh, sorry.
and
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
listen, you.
In the Apple case specifically, I thought you meant like with the big, like big time
Well,
looting.
that's a real question. Like,
If you just don't have the manpower, period, what do you do?
do you think that people would band together and protect themselves and each other, or do you think it
Some
would?
people would. Some people.
And then how long before the infighting starts? Because resources are going to become a huge issue.
Fast,
Not to
yeah.
get too onto the prepper side of the
We
conversation.
need to establish a P corner.
Yeah, rule number one into the apocalypse: where's the P quarter? I just, because
Um,
I would expect so many people to sit around and do nothing, hoping that someone else was going to solve the problem,
right,
i.e.,
like a bystander
a
effect
new
type of thing.
a new government. No, more like an ostrich, like burying your head in the sand kind of
Oh,
thing.
okay, okay.
Like they'd be waiting for,
Somebody's gonna come save us.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
yeah, this person's going to take charge and they're going to guide us, whatever,
yeah,
but then they're the ones that are going to get demolished, moving from Arkansas
right,
to Utah or wherever it was that they were
right.
going. And it's just,
That is an interesting. That's such an interesting question. I feel like I don't want to say this goes back to, but where my mind goes is, I was listening to a podcast, that one about how to not be social awkwardly anymore.
oh, Vanessa Edwards?
Vanessa Van Edwards.
Van Edwards.
Yeah, she was saying how there's like the three personality types that she has seen over the years, more or less, falls into these three categories: the victim, the healer, or the hero. And I think what happens in those situations, what you're talking about, is like the people banding together to protect others, hero people.
Yeah.
Um, the ones looking to like maybe find resources, make sure this doesn't happen to others, uh, that go into like uh, not regroup, but those would be like your healer personalities. And then the kind of people, and this is going to sound so dramatic, but like the kind of people who are just waiting for somebody else to fix victim types, right? And that's, and I think there's probably like a spectrum
Yeah,
of
for
all these
sure.
things. Like what's that
You're not
three
just one of those.
circle? Yeah,
Oh, like a Venn diagram.
Venn diagram. Thank you. of like the different personalities. And they probably overlap in different percent whatever. If you were to really break it down, but yeah, I think that would be I don't say perfect illustration, but like perfect example of those different stereotypes or types of people that would play out in a real life situation kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. There'd be like that lost middle group trying to figure out what to do, but not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
And then there'd be
Yeah.
people, whether it's helpful or not, taking action and trying to get involved.
Trying. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then the people that are just like, oh my God, what do we do?
Yeah.
What do we
And to go back to your sort of moral like the discussion about morals, where that falls into that is like, are any of these right or wrong, or is it just like you need all of these things to exist to make the whole thing work? Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
like to have a healer, you need a victim, because or else who is the healer fixing? Same with the hero.
yeah, you need, yeah. Don't say this too loud because all the victims are like, you fucking need me. You need me.
You need me more than
The
I need you. Yeah, no.
Because like remember in school when the teacher wouldn't show up and everyone was like, oh, you only have to wait 5 minutes and then you get to leave because there's no class if
Oh,
the
yeah.
teacher doesn't show up. But then there's always those people that are like, no, stay, blah 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 blah, we'll read or something. And then there's the
Yeah.
people who have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
I feel
Another
like
perfect example of that.
now
Yeah.
picture that, but the teacher actually never shows up.
Okay.
And there's no principal and there's no other
Okay.
teachers and it's
Okay.
just students
Yeah.
and there's bells but there's no buses.
I've seen this scenario play out, I swear.
Well, so like now that's the world. There's no
Okay.
consequences
Now that's
anymore.
the world.
The only consequences that you have now are completely unknown, and this may be influenced by the amount of western shows I've been watching lately,
Okay. Sounds
but
like a
like
lot.
you could just up and get shot.
The Wild
You
West.
know, like just a few, not but a few decades ago, if you
Truly,
ran your
not that long
mouth,
ago.
you got punched in the face,
Sure. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, fast forward to today, where everyone's videotaping everything and you're going to
Hmm.
jail, and my dad's a lawyer, and what the
Dude,
hell
we
even
talked
is
about
that?
this in CPR training. I will continue. Yeah, sorry. Go
Well,
on.
now in a world where, you know, I got to protect my own
Okay.
and I got to, whatever it is we're trying to do, got to make that happen.
Because
Someone
nobody
comes
else is
along,
going to.
like, yeah, do you are you changing who you are, or are you responding to a different set of rules of the game, I suppose?
I was gonna say demands, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah.
I think most of us would be pretty upset if we killed anyone right now. But
Yeah.
like in a world where there's no rules and someone's banging at your door and
Yeah.
they got a knife and you got kids inside, what do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
So is this sort of where your question of morals comes into play? Whereas like
yeah, I guess it's
the
like,
things that I maybe value aren't 100% the same as all of my neighbors in the neighborhood. If all the rules disappear tomorrow, how does this play out?
yeah, and how
And
do you,
it ends up being based on your morals, I guess, at the end of the day.
well, yeah, like you either uh do what you need to do or you don't.
Right. Fair.
And it
Yeah.
and if
It's
you if
just
you
that simple.
if you if you don't, bad things happen. If you
Mm.
do, bad things happen too, but sometimes
Hmm.
you just have to bear the weight of that on your conscience.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's more a statement being, I think people think the world is black and white and
Hmm.
it's not. Uh,
Shades of gray.
and just a thought experiment on what would happen if the world fucking, I mean, certainly
If
some
we
places
if
wouldn't
we
know about
dis if we dis oh my god,
disillusion or so. No,
dissol dis
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 disillusioned,
dismantle.
dismantled the Ministry of
Yeah,
Education.
disapparate it.
Yeah. Hmm. Well, if any of our listeners want to comment on what they think of this subject, we would love to
Yeah,
hear.
I would really hope that just nothing changes in my world, but because I
Okay.
don't want to get into a fight,
Okay. Fair.
but I also don't like people taking my shit.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean?
You're gonna stop them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would have like, I don't know, probably change the layout of my house a little,
Okay.
instead of like a hat rack at the front hall, like a bat rack,
A bat rack. Okay. Okay.
like
Okay.
a little aluminum
And that's nice
one.
too because it rhymes.
Yeah.
So
Or like a
okay.
wooden one. Is that maple?
My dog's here. Yeah. Hi, Maple. I'll let you
What were
out in
you
a minute.
what were you gonna say about CPR?
Oh, so we did. Oh, geez. I've already forgotten. I did CPR training last week and we talked about, how everybody posts everything on social media. So the person who was doing the training, who was the trainer for us, was a retired paramedic. And he just retired last year. And 20 years he worked as a paramedic. So you can imagine
Damn.
he's in Toronto, of Toronto proper. He's like, I've seen some things. Seen some things. Um, and he was saying that the biggest, yeah, just wait, Maple. Sorry, she's gotta go. But also I tried to let her out multiple times just before doing this, so sorry, dude. Um, he's seen some shit, and everybody records everything now. He said that that was like that's the biggest change he's seen in his 20-year career was the fact that like now instead of just bystander effect, like people like stand shocked on the side or just like not even notice and walk by. He's like now people are they want to get clicks, they want to post it to their TikTok, they want to post it on their social media or their YouTube or whatever it might be, so that they can get likes and clickbait and blah 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 and be like, I was there, I saw it. It's like a very he was describing it as like a very perverse way of like witnessing the change in humanity that's happening, and I don't blame him. I feel like if
You're
I
riding
was
the coattails of tragedy.
yeah, and that's exactly what it is. It's like people who are just like, "Oh my god, did you see that?" Like just looking for the next
I
big
was a part of it.
splash
I breathed
viral
the same
video.
air that they couldn't breathe while they choked.
Oh my god. Yeah, he said that he has watched people and he's like maybe it's because they don't know how to perform CPR and he's like but somebody will like be actively dying and somebody will like pop their phone out and start recording instead of doing anything else.
It's
I
kind of
feel
like,
like there's some part of me that's like if I didn't feel comfortable helping, I'd at least be like is somebody here able to help this person? Please.
yeah,
Like you if you can't
positively contributing.
yeah, if you can't be the thing or the person that's helping, like perhaps be a supporting role in that so that we
Yeah.
can solve this problem.
Yeah, it's still
But
helping. You're just
apparently that's not.
helping the way you can.
Yeah. And maybe this is a moral thing too, where
Well,
their morals say this is fine.
could you imagine though? Like, because I always try to, I don't know, I try to picture how people see the world. So
Now?
just like anytime, like
Oh, okay.
now I'm imagining someone happening upon an accident
Yep.
and their first thought being, "Oh, I got to film this," and having no compassion
Or worry
or
or
not
concern.
even a little voice in the back of their head. Like the first thing should be, "Oh fuck, what do I do?"
Mm-hmm.
At least. And if the second thing is, I better
Pull out
take
my
a,
phone.
then like we got
Just
problems.
walk
But
away.
at
Just walk
least,
away.
at least you thought, I don't know what to do because it
Yeah.
means you thought, what should I do?
Yeah.
Um,
And not everybody wants every single moment of their life captured and recorded and on video and exist on the internet forever.
it's the same
And
as
maybe that's something that the people who are recording all these events don't realize.
Yeah.
like
They're dragging people.
into the
Well,
permanence
and you
of.
see that too with a lot of social media posts. Like they'll post something and then weeks later I'll get a on my For You page, "Hey, remember this video? I'm that person."
Oh my God, what?
Like they're seeing it now. They were recorded and posted and they're like, "Yeah, it was me
Oh,
and here's the story." I don't have any
oh.
examples off the top of my head, but if I come across one, I'll share it with you. Um, but your thought about the camera recording, it's 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 a great example of how morality is not black and white. It exists in the gray because
Ah, there you go. Yep.
we're judging, lack of a better term, commenting on people
Judging, I might be
responding in a way
judging.
that we don't agree with,
Yeah.
uh, despite us being very confident on it. But it's the same as, I wonder where, parents that videotape their children when
Every moment of their life.
things are happening, like they're in pain
Oh,
or
yeah.
they're stuck or they need help. You've seen those ones. It's like, oh, and the comments like, oh, my son is blah 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 blah. Better pull out my phone.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Even just the ones where they're having like me- meltdowns. Like, you're going to post it, and this might be on TikTok, and maybe TikTok dissolves in 10 years. But maybe it doesn't, right? And maybe that video exists in perpetuity forever. And
it
then
doesn't
that
even
kid goes
matter
to
that
school. Yeah. Like,
it doesn't
I
matter
don't
that the
know.
video is taken. It's the idea that, we judge both of these things as bad choices,
Okay.
but one's a less bad choice than the
Yeah.
other.
Well,
Invo-
and you mean you and I?
the royal
Or
you.
you mean,
Yeah.
okay. Because
Like,
I don't think everybody judges those videos. I think some people are like, yes, post more of this content. This is great.
but and that again, it just underlines the idea that everyone sees the world differently. Everyone, for one reason or another, uh, they're in the yes camp, the no camp, the I don't care camp about any topic.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
and so when those worlds collide because there's no rules, I wonder what that looks like.
Hmm.
The yes people and the no people arguing it out, and then the I don't care people just trying to get through to the other side.
Yeah.
It's just what a crazy mess. I saw a lady post a video saying that today's the last straw. I'm leaving him. When I get home, I'm just gonna figure out a way to get out, and then I'm leaving him. And I'm like, it was a little suspicious. You don't look distraught at all.
Mm-hmm.
This should be one of the toughest decisions you've ever made.
Should be a little bit more emotional, maybe.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then I was like, A, that was A. B, who thinks to post this kind of shit? My first thought
Wait,
was the,
who's record like, okay, let me set up my camera. Here we go. Let
yeah,
me set up my camera. And who am I talking to even on this? Myself?
no, it's like it was a TikTok.
Well,
Like
this is it.
she's got a
But this is
follower.
it.
She was talking to her audience or her followers or
Yeah, but
whatever.
okay, so this is where my question is, was that recorded live? In which case, yes, she's talking directly to her followers. She's like, "Hey, I have this thing to tell you.
That's
I'm coming
interesting.
on
Can
live." If it's not, she's just opening up the camera, facing the camera towards herself, and then records. And then she's like, "What? It doesn't sound good. Let me try that again." Like,
either way,
what does
ridiculous.
that look like? Yeah.
And
It's
I
it's it seems insane to me.
my thought too is if you're in, I'm making some assumptions here. It's at least an unhealthy relationship, judging by the sounds of it,
Sure. Yeah,
abusive,
yeah, yeah.
physically, emotionally, verbally, whatever. It
Who
all it
knows?
all hurts,
Yeah.
and it's all not good.
Yeah.
Um, you haven't left yet because you're afraid,
Okay.
and now you're posting this on social media where I'm assuming the person that you're living with has is familiar with your social media presence.
Perhaps.
So now you're
Perhaps
just
not.
broadcasting to the world, and now the person you're trying to leave, what your plan
Mm-hmm.
is. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if I was abusive, I'd probably abuse you even harder. Like,
Harder.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Now you
Oh,
really
you
go,
thought
you know,
that was bad. Yeah.
yeah,
So this is an interesting thing you say because I have witnessed something to this effect. Uh I don't want to like name names or like relationships with the person in case they stumble upon it on the internet. But I knew a person who had a secret Facebook account. It wasn't their name. It was like a very old picture. You couldn't tell who it was from the profile picture. Um, and they would not check it when they were at home or near their significant other. And to me, that spoke volumes about their relationship, period.
yeah,
It was like a lie, first of all. It was like, to me, I don't want to say a harmless lie, but like only because I knew this person, I knew that they weren't doing anything nefarious on Facebook. And like, how much trouble can you really get into on Facebook? You know what I mean? Just saying. Um, but it was like the insecurity of their partner was the reason that they kept it hidden because they were worried that, oh, you're going to go contact a person from your past, or you're going to talk to friends or people who don't like me, or whatever. It was all about their insecurity, and it blew my mind. And it's what you're describing in a way, because they didn't have an idea of the social media presence of their significant other. Can you imagine?
yeah,
And so I suppose in that case, you know, could have gotten away with posting whatever they wanted, and the other person not realizing it ever, or until their friends showed them.
yeah,
But eventually all this came out, and years later they broke up. But I feel like it was such a tell to
yeah.
me in the first place. Like if this woman that you were describing was, and I don't even think you said it was a woman. Did I just assume?
I think I
No, I
said a
think you said
woman.
it was a
I
woman.
said,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow, that was so sexist of
Close
me.
call. Close call.
um I think she may be hiding this profile, making it, and maybe not, like, obviously,
Yeah.
I don't want to say obviously, but like it's public if you saw it. But you could potentially block somebody that you know knows you,
Hmm.
if you know what I mean. Like there's
It
ways
just seems
maybe
like
around
so
that, but
much effort to
that's a
it.
lot of work if they're trying to hide it, but then also posting it publicly. So that, I don't know. That just speaks volumes to me. That she would even record a video, even if she didn't end up, you know, following through with the breakup. The fact that she would record that and like post it for 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 who? For her? Is it for herself?
Yeah, is this a confidence
Is it
building
for
thing? Like,
others? Is it maybe she's hoping that her, was it spouse or boyfriend? I'm not sure, her other half, maybe she's hoping, he stumbles upon it and he's like, F you, I'm gonna break up with you first, like,
yeah, that's what's
you
gonna
can't
happen.
fire me, I quit.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna break your nose. You can't fire me. Yeah, the vibe I got was attention seeking, and that's not
Okay.
fair for me
Okay.
to assume. But
Sure.
the feeling I was getting was overwhelmingly
The vibes
this
were.
is this is how I'm gonna get likes and follows. I just got to make shit up, and I hope that's not the case because it really undermines people in
Those
similar
situations
situations. Yeah,
where women often find themselves, it's the reason why there's women's shelters, and like so many support groups and things like this. It just seems like not the venue to be seeking
Yeah.
support or
Yeah.
assistance.
Already contentious
Yeah.
situation. Let's throw
Yeah.
gasoline on the fire.
Yeah, let's post it for the world to see.
Crazy, crazy, crazy
Yeah.
people.
And all I hear, like in the back of my mind, I'm imagining this scenario where it's like her sister in law or her mother in law sees this
Something
video.
stupid, yeah.
And then she calls up Johnny and she's like, Johnny, did you see what so and so posted? She's crazy. She said she's going to break up with you. She said you're abusing her. You know, this, like, I'm just imagining like the most dramatic family
Yeah.
confrontation and just a hot mess and lots of phone calls and you can't slam the phone anymore, but
Just
slamming that end button
yeah. Fucking pushing it really hard.
and then a really loud, angry conversation. Police being called to the residence. We heard there was a domestic disturbance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
something like that.
I don't envy my children, our children, learning the ropes of this new world because
It
we
really is a new world.
we got to grow up with all the growing pains, which
Yeah.
started small, thankfully. Lessons were learned quickly, but it seems now like
It's uncharted territory a little
it
bit.
really is.
Yeah.
There is nothing you can't do anymore thanks to the internet. And there's
AI
ugh,
as well has changed. Yeah.
there's so much AI content on social media too.
And there's this uh I don't want to say there's this thing happening, but I've been hearing the kids on the bus talk about this a lot. Is that real? I hear that so often. Is that real? Is that even real? And I'm like,
Oh yeah, like
okay, it's good. They're being critical thinkers. They're like, this could be AI. And often it is. I think with like the kind of goofy content that these kids consume, like a lot of them I think are into anime or like cartoons or whatever video game characters and things like that. They're just watching dumb videos on YouTube or TikTok or whatever. Um, but recognizing that like a lot of this is made up and like might have been just computer generated and it's not for reals.
it's getting harder and harder to tell. Thank God I don't have to care about that.
Speaking of which, oh my god, we watched YMH 10, YMH Live 10, but not live. We like watched, we bought, we rented it
Yeah.
after. Anyway, and there is this Down syndrome model that exists on Instagram. Dude, if you saw her, you'd be like, what?
Did you use air quotes when you said Down syndrome?
Oh, she doesn't look like she has Down syndrome.
So judgmental, Jenna. God.
I know. Uh Model girl, model Instagram. Oops. Pardon me. It's none of these people who are actually real. Okay. I don't know if it's this person. But like I oh, okay, the yeah, not her. Oh my god, there's like a knockoff account of this woman. Okay.
This is a crazy conversation.
I'm sorry. It's they were talking about it on so I'm sorry for like stealing the topic from them. I feel like maybe that's not the way of saying that. Anyways, they were talking about it on there's this woman. So the picture of the person that comes up is Sophia Girau. I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong. Girau, Puerto Rican model, and like she's a real person, but there is a fake
That's
Insta account
oh, this is okay.
that has
Thankfully,
stolen her pictures and then further modified them and that account is AI. But to just like, and I can't even find the fake account now. I'll keep looking. Maybe I'll find it and add it in post or whatever. But maybe if I even if I looked up, hang on, fake Instagram account.
Well, we wouldn't want this AI account to succeed. We'd want her account to succeed.
Right. Correct. So I don't want to draw people to that. Is that what you're telling me?
But the example is powerful.
Yeah.
AI is well, there's Andy Frisella. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure. No, you know who it is? Sean Ryan. He's got the Sean Ryan show. He's an ex Navy SEAL. His podcast is pretty
Oh.
interesting. Um, but he always mentions how people take clips from his show and put it on their accounts or repost them or whatever. And normally, up until I heard him say this, I assumed that creators would probably be upset with people taking their videos and posting them on their own accounts.
Okay.
But he was like, "No, I think it's great because it's our content and we want it out there. So even if someone else, if you're posting it and someone else views it, that's the same idea as if they saw it on my own page. So that's
Yep.
fine." I mean, it's a very developed country way of him saying, "I got enough followers and money that I don't need to worry about it."
Yeah.
Um,
All good.
but the idea is true. Like you're putting like all publicity is good publicity if that's a real thing. You know what I
That
mean?
I mean that it's a saying for a reason, I believe. Like it's um it was Cardi B who said something like, "Yeah, bring on the haters, man. Like they just keep like they're giving me more likes, like they're
Yeah.
still listening to my music, they're
Still
listening to it so that they
traffic.
can they can trash it after." And she's like, "I don't care. Like that translates to money for me. So
Yeah.
thank you for paying my bills." Like she's just like, "You don't realize that this is helping me. So haha to you, more or less." And I think that that's the case in most of these scenarios that you're describing where it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's why like this AI thing, like hopefully her own accounts are more successful than the AI ones.
agreed.
So
Agreed.
that
And like just
any
by a quick
monetization goes
browse it is.
good, good.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's also helpful because the more I'm assuming she wants to be a model, the more people would
Yes. I
see her modeling, the more
yeah.
people are gonna go follow her and whatever.
Hmm.
And it also like normalizes people with Down syndrome doing normal things like modeling or
Yeah.
I don't know.
And uh, I feel like Down syndrome is distinct because it like you see the difference in a person. Like it's physically obvious. Um and so you might place judgment
Yeah.
up front.
Hmm.
Be like, "Oh, that Down syndrome person, whatever." But it like I don't want to say breaks down barriers. Like I don't know if that's like the right way of saying it, but in a case where modeling is a very visual
Yeah.
playing field, like I think it introduces opportunity for sure. Where like instead of placing that judgment, we can be like, oh, there's like, and not to say it doesn't matter anymore because there's more of them, but like eventually, hopefully with time, it's like, oh, there's hundreds of models that look different. You know what I mean? Like, and I
Yeah.
think that's the whole point is that there's not just like one person, and that's what that whole like acceptance, self acceptance, um, stepping away from like traditional modeling and media and expectations, blah blah blah, is like there is literally not just one person. There's like billions and billions and billions of people in the world that all look different, and it's trying to showcase opportunities for all. I don't know. Yeah.
I agree. I think it reminds you, and this is something we've mentioned many times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like if there's a goal, if there's an objective, if there's something that you want, it, and I think this is something that's really bad in our generation is we have a hard
Us
time.
old millennials.
Us millennials, we have a hard time picturing ourselves in an environment or uh, in circumstances or conditions other than what we're currently experiencing.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
a young
If we're
lady,
not living it, it's almost not real. Yeah.
yeah, like a young lady with Down syndrome who wants to become a model
Mm-hmm.
can picture herself as a model, can
Yeah. Yeah.
can imagine that, and then as soon as you're able to do that, you take the wind out of the sails of the idea that it's not
Is
obtainable by
this even
you.
possible?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And so now
Yeah.
you see more and more people who are less and less stereotypical in these fields, in these industries, in these roles, and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone else gets to see that and realize, yeah, like whatever you want to do.
And then also, I think there's a little bit of like, oh, yeah, everybody can do this, actually, also.
It's easy. I don't know if this is an accurate statement. I think, most people are so busy in their own lives that they just write off so many other people that they see in their day to day. Not for
Okay.
nothing. It's probably just I got enough shit to deal with. I got kids. I got, you know what I mean? PTA,
Yeah.
whatever, whatever, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like, uh, that we judge physically first
Okay. Yeah.
anyway. And
Yeah.
so,
I think as mammals, that might be part of it too.
well, and
Just
I
say,
just,
like, I don't know the psychology behind it, but I think
nor do I
base
think
state, we're all mammals.
we
Maybe
live
that's
it
part of
in a time now where uh,
it.
there just needs to be no judgment,
Yeah, sure.
not less judgment, but just no judgment. I
Can we
think,
just like move on from this judgment thing?
well,
Yeah.
like you talked about with Cardi B, people, hate, like, that's judgment.
Totally.
It's good that it doesn't impact her, but imagine like how much confident people would be if
Hmm.
they judged less.
So I wrote down, this is like gonna be on another episode completely, but I heard about, I can't remember if it's a series or a movie, um but it's called Adolescence
Yes,
on Netflix, and I think it's fairly new. I
it
just
is.
heard about it, and it's making waves because it touches on a lot of judgment, and I think it centers around a true story about a like I don't know if this is spoiler alerts, but this is like how the story was described to me. A boy who ends up killing a girl in his grade, and he's in, I want to say, either middle school or like early high school,
He's
and
13.
13. Yeah, so he's like just become a teenager, and kind of, I don't want to say the events that led up to this happening, but like the the world that teenagers are in now, and the fact that his parents had no idea that there was any lead up, and there was a lot of lead up into this apparently, but the parents had no idea because their kids are so disconnected
Hmm.
and so dialed into this like digital world that exists. So anyways, I feel like that's a story for another time,
Yeah,
but because maybe we can do some homework and like watch part or all of it, and then perhaps discuss next time. But yeah, in that space of like, maybe there needs to be less judgment, that can be part of it.
yeah. If we stop judging ourselves first,
Yeah.
probably be a good first step.
Yeah. Fair.
And then you realize like there's no point to judgment. We do it because we've been to use a previous word, indoctrinated.
Yeah. Yeah.
We grew up just nonstop being judged, hearing judgment, listening
Mhm.
to people judge other people. You
Mhm.
internalize all of that. And now someone doesn't signal on
We
the
all have
highway,
anxiety disorders.
and I know exactly what kind of fucking jackass that guy is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway,
So I wanted to I'll share this with you. I didn't mention it earlier, but I in my CPR training, I had the joy of getting to like talk and meet one of my coworkers who I've never had a like opportunity to spend any time with before. Her name is Sue. She's so lovely. She's a grown adult with adult kids. Like her kids are in their early 20s. And like we got talking and connecting on so many levels. And throughout the course of the day we were chatting, and I mentioned, I was like, "Oh, I do all kinds of stuff, Sue." I was like, "I have a podcast, I do flowers, blah blah blah." She was like, "You have a podcast? I love podcasts." And she pulls open her feed, hundreds and hundreds of shows she listens to. Like she
oh
must
my
just like
God.
on repeat. Not on repeat, but like she's got them all. She follows so many. And so we are now on her list of
Fuck
podcasts.
yeah. Stu,
And
my
she
new
said the
favorite person.
first, I know, right? And the first episode she listened to, because she was like, "Where do I start?" I said, "Listen to our early episodes when we started getting guests." And she listened to our episode with Tony, which I was like, "We need to get him on again." But she was just like, "Antonio, oh my God, what a life story." And we got chatting about it a little bit. And she she shared this compliment with me. It was for both of us, so I'm sharing it with you. She was like, "You guys really care to ask questions and like want to know more about the people that you have on." I was like, "Yeah. Does not everybody want to know about other people?" And she was just like, "No, I don't feel people care about each other." And you were kind of just saying that, everybody's wrapped up in their own world.
Yeah.
You don't really see what's going on in other people's worlds, right? And she said just that same exact thing. She was like, everybody's got their own stuff going on and like don't have any interest to really like connect with each other.
That's us just looking in other people's windows, asking
I'm
all the right questions.
I do look into people's windows all the time. Do you go on walks at night and you're like,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
are they
yeah.
doing in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I know the one guy in your neighborhood has the leg lamp from A
Yes.
Christmas Story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a couple in Port Hope actually that
that's
I've
weird.
seen. Yeah.
I've never seen one, let alone many.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
drive around Port Hope around Christmas. You'll see a few.
that's so funny. All right,
Anyways, so
friend.
yeah, thank you, Sue.
I think that's a great place to end
Please.
this.
I agree. I
It's
agree. Yeah.
getting late here. All right.
Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you
Thank
all for
you.
tuning in and listening, and uh, we'll see you next week.
Mm-hmm. Toodles.
All right. Okay. I will publish this tomorrow.
Fabuloso.